Hey everyone, and welcome to Television for the Multiverse, the DC TV podcast from MailFuzz TV. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we have a shorter episode for you this week for a couple of reasons. One is that there was less shows. There was only 3 new shows to talk about this week. Now, normally we might pad it out with a little Batman the Animated Series episode or whatever, but this week we actually have an extra comics episode to do because Detective 1000 is getting its whole special episode. So to make time for that, we decided to just keep this one a little bit shorter. And we'll see how it goes. That said, the ranting when we get to Arrow might counteract any of those plans.
All I'm saying is, Arrow cost me like money this week.
It did. More on that when we get to Arrow. So yeah, obviously we've got the new Arrow to talk about. We got a new Supergirl, and we got a new Doom Patrol, and that is the exact opposite order of which we'll be talking about them in. Because we'll be starting with Doom Patrol. Doom Patrol episode 6. It's called Doom Patrol. No, Doom Patrol Patrol. Hold on, let me just double check.
It's 3 words and you managed to screw it up. It's Doom Patrol Patrol.
Doom Patrol Patrol, yes.
You screwed up 3 words.
Hold on.
2 of them are the same.
Aye, I'm just double check. I couldn't remember if it was the word Doom that were putting in every title up until now, or if it was Patrol that were putting in every title up until now.
It's Patrol.
Yes.
His last one was like Paw Patrol.
Yeah, well, we'll see that now. All right, come on.
Have some memory.
I watch too much TV like every week to remember such a silly little detail. Such a silly little detail. So Jane got that message from Mr. Nobody to find the Doom Patrol. Or at least that's what we found out this episode. Is that's exactly what the request was? Because obviously we heard her say, what's the Doom Patrol, but
Yeah.
we don't know what it was about. And she's like, no, we have to find the Doom Patrol. At first she's just kind of hiding and watching tapes of her talking to the chief. And then eventually kind of ropes others into it. And it turns out that Rita's heard of the Doom Patrol because she used to date one. What was his name? Mento. She used to date him. There's this C-list superhero team in the 50s. And she met one of them. And it's like, okay, so this is the Doom Patrol. Now, here's the one sort of point I have in my head about them actually like bringing up the name Doom Patrol and actually having like a past group of characters who went by that name in the show. Is that I never necessarily expected before now for our team to actually ever like put their flag in and say we're the Doom Patrol, whereas now I am expecting that now in some capacity. Like whether it's because Niles comes back and says, "Hey, now you're the Doom Patrol," or because they, for legacy reasons,
Niles' team.
Yeah, so we're the Doom Patrol now. I don't know how they're going to do it, but however they do it, they're going to do it.
I suspect it will be a lot more meta than what you're thinking, and
Very
Mr.
possibly.
Nobody will be like, "You're the Doom Patrol now. Come on."
Maybe.
He's like, "I've got to have a Doom Patrol to fight," because he's a crazy bastard.
Very possibly. I like the idea of them making the choice to be the Doom Patrol though, more than Mr. Nobody giving it to them.
I get it. I get it.
Out of, I don't know, defiance, out of whatever. So they end up, so yeah, Larry, Rita, and Jane go to this building where the Doom Patrol, basically the old Doom Patrol headquarters, and it turns out it's a school for young metas. And these people are still teaching. And Joe, it's funny. It's funny given the twist later on in this episode, because at one point in this episode, I was thinking to myself, there's a lot of characters in this show who have not aged in like 50 years. And in this episode, it introduced me to these 3 new superheroes from the Doom Patrol. I'm like, they all look the same. I guess being a meta just means you don't age. And then at one point, it introduces Calder, and I went, wait a minute. Calder's a human being, right? That said, though, Larry does still say he's known him for like nearly 6 decades. So he's known Calder since he was young.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, right up until we see Niles, I was thinking, is this some sort of time travel thing? Like, when they teleported, did they kind of slip through time and not realize? I don't know.
That was when we started seeing the glitches, because you start seeing the glitches around them. So obviously the big reveal is that this isn't a school. This is all just something that Mento, who is given the name's a mental, he's got telepathy and he can make people see things, and that's what he's doing here. He's making their lives all be much better by them feeling they've got purpose. And Joshua from the comics is here kind of babysitting them, really, even though he pretends to be like the principal or whatever you want to call it, the school, and they're actually really old. They're in wheelchairs. They're ancient, right? They're actually the age they should be.
They got real screwed over by Mr. Nobody.
Oh, they really did, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Didn't go too well for 'em.
yeah, that's kind of the big reveal, and it's kind of this. And the lesson for this episode is basically teaching the team, is particularly the ones who go about letting go of their past, because we get flashbacks with Rita all episode about her past and about her time with Mento, the time she accidentally suffocated an executive in Hollywood when he was trying to do his casting couch bit. And she was going to go along with it, and this is obviously something she feels regret over, but she melts in his lap to the point where she suffocates him.
Yep.
And this is something that she's terrified of doing again later, where she's with Mento, and it's like, no, this does. But then he gets mad at her the next morning because he read some of her mind, and there's this something we've not really delved into yet. This mysterious past with this girl, who at least one point in present day, Rita sees her, when they're all seeing their worst nightmares, she sees this girl commit suicide. At the very least, she feels responsible for this girl's death. Whether or not it was literal suicide, I'm sure we'll see.
It's hard to say, isn't it? Just because that's what she saw, it could have been a fear that that's what she was going to do. Doesn't necessarily mean that's what happened at the time.
Because it's not like the other characters, what they saw was exactly... Because, Jane gets like jigsaw pieces flying at her, and like a sea of jigsaw pieces and the hand coming out, and I'm sure it's representing like her father or her abuser coming for her, but I'm fairly certain there was not like tons of jigsaw pieces.
Yeah, obviously.
And then obviously Larry had the his partner, shall we call it, from the Air Force.
Yeah.
Although he had like needles for hands. It was reminding me, there's a scene in What Nightmare on Elm Streets where he replaces his blades with syringes.
Fair enough. Reminded me of the first Arkham game Scarecrow.
Yeah, that's a good one. That must be your worst nightmare, having someone with
it's terrifying.
Syringes with fingers.
Yeah. Get the hell away from me.
Prod. Yeah. So no. Obviously I dug this episode because I've been digging all these episodes. I think this bizarrely might be like the weakest one in like 3 or 4, just purely because it's been like fantastic for the last couple.
This might be my least favorite episode of the show.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's still pretty good.
Yeah, not because it's bad. There's lots of good little beats in here.
It wasn't quite as exciting as some of the others, or quite as funny.
Yeah, perfect day plus at the end. We get this montage of them all, and it's basically Larry might actually have reached a kind of a place, because he actually says to the spirit, he's like, yeah, I don't want to think about this stuff either. It's like, he's finally maybe learned not to torture himself and let go of the past. Rita's finally taking down photos of her Hollywood days and realizing maybe she should let that go and be something else. So there's some character advancement there. Obviously, Robot Man stays back with Cyborg, and they're both kind of like, basically they get maintenance from Cyborg's dad, and Cliff kind of sticks up for him.
There was a point in this where I thought they were going to do something from the comics. Cyborg's dad's like, hey, that body's a bit shit. I reckon I can do better.
I can still see it coming though.
Are we getting the other body thing?
I could see it, especially since this episode set up the existence of the brain, which I actually kind of got really geeky when they did that, just because the brain, the brain is in this little robotic kind of housing, right? I mean, it's not even like a robotic body; it's just more of just a
thing. Yeah,
it's like if R2-D2 had just like a brain at the top of him, kind of thing.
Yeah,
that was wheeling around. Does this mean we're getting Mala? Does it mean that we're getting the brain of Mala? And
on any other show, I would say I don't think so. On this one, it feels plausible.
Yeah. The show's not afraid to get weird, as we have established time and time again. And this episode is certainly no less weird for some of the stuff that it pulls out. I mean, it might be the weakest episode, but it's not a bad episode. It was just the least exciting one in some time.
It's probably the most straightforward episode the show's had. It's very, it's a pretty straightforward structure. There's no twists or turns. There's not anything super weird by the show's standards. Which
I don't think's obviously. I don't think it's a bad thing, because it very much is the episode after all the crazy shit the last two, especially. This was just a small character episode to give them all kind of some. I wouldn't say closure, but propel them into the next parts of their arcs and sort of where we're going.
Some growth.
It was kind of needed, so it's actually a really good place for it. It's a nice breather after the last couple of chaotic episodes.
Yes.
But by its very nature, I come to this show for the chaos.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not that this was a disappointing episode. It was a bad episode. It was just this was pretty good. It just wasn't the standout amazing.
Yeah. It's a good thing Legends wasn't starting this week, because if Legends was on, Legends may have taken its prize at the end of the show.
We didn't really talk about any news, but there was a trailer for Legends.
That's true. There was a trailer for Legends. Yes.
Oh boy.
Yes. It looks good. Yes, because there wasn't really any other news.
Legends is coming for you, Doom Patrol.
It's coming. We'll see how it fares. But yeah. So I mean, that was it. And obviously, Josh, he finally admits everything, and we get this story of how they fought Mr. Nobody back in the 50s, and that's really dark story. This is where I say, even this episode gets really weird, where there's a giant hot air balloon, but it's in the shape of buttocks, and instead of a basket, it's a jukebox, and the jukebox is playing this same song over and over again, which makes everyone in the radius go crazy.
I get that. Hearing the same song over and over again made me go crazy.
Mm-hmm. But it's these visuals of the giant, anus balloon.
It's surreal, yeah.
Yeah, there's all these things. We get a lot of glimpse of some of Jane's personalities again. The big fiery one came out to defend herself.
It's a really smooth transition between them.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, because the effects in this show aren't always great. Some of them are a little bit.
Like it was weird because that big fire one and that was going on. I thought that looked pretty solid. And then, 20 seconds later, she got some ice shot over her mouth, and that looked a bit shit.
Yeah.
So it was hit or miss even within the same scene.
Yeah, it just seems to be the trend. I was laughing a lot at Facehole, because obviously TV shows and movies often will have a fake version of the social media sites and stuff like that. But Facehole was cracking me up. They were clearly just having fun with it. And just all little jokes like
the most about this is usually when they show it, it's something just they knocked up something themselves. It was just Facebook. They didn't even try and hide it.
Yeah, he's mad because his old friend or partner or whatever is like basically being the stepdad.
This episode nearly got me because we mentioned I think it was last week how every episode has had Cliff saying what the F at something. It was all episode. I was like, and then he's not going to the weird stuff. I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna get one. I really thought it was, and it was like the last 20 seconds when he's seeing this on the computer, he lets it out. It's like, yes, streak continues. Finally
did it. And then the other jokes between him and Cyborg that I really liked was when he's getting looked at and he's like, goes if one of Cyborg's fingers has embedded itself in your arm. Robot Man looks over to him and goes, can you get your finger outside or your finger's inside me? I just thought it'd be really made me laugh.
Yeah.
So
a bit of character growth on their side as well. He sticks up for Cyborg a bit to his dad. And his dad's giving him a bit of freedom.
Yeah. Although he still had that USB stick, which Cyborg swiped out of his pocket with a fake hug.
Yeah, I was wondering where it was going. It really made a point of showing us him put it in his pocket. And I was like, okay, that's something to come back to. And then, 20 seconds later, he's got it himself.
Cyborg's got his eye on it, so we'll find out. Maybe we'll find out what whatever he discovered next episode, or maybe it'll be saved for later. But we'll get something. But no, I'm excited. I feel like they've set up the brain, and I want to see the brain now on this show.
I want to see anything on this show, anything and everything. Just do it all, every stupid, crazy thing that's ever happened.
Yeah. But no, I mean, it's a very simple episode in the sense that these characters go to this place and they see what can happen to them if they don't let go of the past, if they bask in it and don't move on and choose to be who they are now, and they at least two of them come out feeling a bit healthier as a result. Jane, we'll see. We'll see.
She's got a long way to go because obviously she learns in this one that at some point Niles was ready to just send her here. He was not necessarily was ready to give her. If it got worse, he was ready to give up on her. Yeah, she had a room. She because at first, obviously, when we thought it was a school still, it was like, oh, was that going to be a student? Was it going to be a teacher?
and then it's like, nah, you were going to be locked up like these people and just be kind of
you were
left
going to
here.
become a lost cause eventually.
So yeah, so it's real sad. So I hope we see. I hope we see. What's his face? I've got his name already. Joshua. I hope we see Joshua again.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Because I like his character in the comics, and I think he offers a different thing. I wonder if we see Dorothy. I wonder what other characters we get. Pick it out, but like I feel like each episode of this show so far has had great pacing, and I don't think, this one's a bit of a breather, but it doesn't feel like the pacing slowed down. It doesn't feel like
this one's still almost a full hour, and we're talking about how this is a slower episode, right? It's not doing any of the crazy stuff, but it doesn't feel like a drag or anything like that. It doesn't feel like it's going slowly.
Yeah, and also I did. Do you know what, the scene with Larry when he hears that Niles has a wife? That's the scene where if Cliff was there, that'd have been a WTF.
Yeah, it would have.
That would have been that moment.
It would have been,
now,
yeah.
And I'm glad that turned out to not be real. But you get this implication that she probably did have like a crush on him, or she cared for him, and that's why it's part of her fantasy.
I think one of my favorite parts of this though is that I totally buy that Niles has a wife and just hasn't told anyone. It's completely believable.
So yeah, but yeah, so no, that's Doom Patrol episode 6. We're on. Was it 6?
I think so.
Yeah, but we got 15 this season, so we got 9 left. That's cool by me.
That's good.
Well, that'll take us on then to Supergirl season 4, episode 16. It's called The House of L. Notably, just the letter L, not the Kal-El, Zor-El L. Very, very smart, very witty of the writers. But yeah, so this episode, we get a little bit at the start, like picking up the cliffhanger from last week, and there's a little bit at the end. But the episode is mainly explaining how Lex and Comrade Zor-El, Russian Supergirl, have been connected in the backstories all season.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a bit weird how it was like, I think the first week it was like 6 months ago, and I was like, okay, fine. And then it said, time advanced a little bit, and it went back to like 8 months ago. It kind of like,
it was weird.
It went back again. It was because it was doing the Lex side of it, and then it went back to the Comrade Zor-El side of it. But that aside, I mostly quite like this episode. Some dodgy CG in the opening scene, although I do love that Lex immediately just dove out the helicopter and immediately Lex was suited up. I was like, because I was thinking last week, are we going to get him in the Lexo suit? They have to do that, right? And then like within seconds of this one, he's like, "Nah, Iron Man mode." Like, okay,
pretty much, yeah.
Go for it.
It's very dodgy CG though.
Dodgy CG when he was picking up the Daily Planet, which, well, I don't think we've ever seen the Daily Planet building in this yet, have we?
No.
That was the first time, so that was kind of neat, I guess. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did it actually explain the flashbacks why he has powers now?
I think it's the thing that Lena injected him with last episode, or that he took. The quote unquote cure. You
think that also gave him powers?
Well, yeah, because that was why she was developing it for the government, right? For the super soldier power thing.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I guess.
I assumed it was from that.
It felt weird not to have a moment where he realised it worked and he had powers, beyond just...
Yeah.
He's fine.
Because obviously there was a bit... Last episode, it was like, oh, I already took it, right? I assume he had that moment in there before, It
should have been in the flashbacks, though. When
it should have been.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, though. I think one of the funniest moments all season is when Tessmacher's about to suggest what he needs to do to win, right? And he cuts off and goes, "No, you're right. I need to give myself cancer." And she's like, "Wait, what? I was going to suggest that."
Yeah.
That made me laugh. That was a proper good laugh.
No. This episode frustrates me.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's things I like.
Like Russian Supergirl wearing the black wig and calling herself Linda Lee. Did you enjoy that?
Sure, yeah. Let's not talk about that.
Nice reference to the movie.
And then there's a lot of things I really hate. Like, really hate. And undermines key elements of the season for me.
Would this be that Lex is loosely behind
All of Lockwood's
Oh,
shit.
Lockwood, yeah. Where he tells Otis to get his sister. Yeah, go and get someone to influence the people, kind of thing. I'm mixed on it because on the one hand, I'm like, this makes Lockwood feel smaller than he has been, right? Because he felt like a pretty good villain for a lot of the season, so it makes him feel kind of small. But at the same time, I'm like, everything leading back to Lex does also feel right, and
But that's the thing. They're only getting away with it because it's Lex.
because it's Lex. If this was anyone else, I wouldn't like it.
I was already skeptical that, okay, Comrade Kara's all tying into Lex. I was hoping we could deal with that on its own at some point, like as its own thing.
Well, yeah, we were hoping that was going to be next season. But as well, it's mixed because it's like, well, post-Crisis, Supergirl was a clone that Lex, like, sort of, like, ushered in and stuff. And it's like, there's a lot of...
out of nowhere.
Yeah, there's a lot of, like... I essentially like everything it's doing. I just wish it wasn't all bunched in this season.
Yeah, and I just, like I said, so I was already feeling that with the Comrade Kara. I'm like, yeah, I like what it's doing. I'm disappointed, and then it undermined all of Lockwood. I'm like, well, it's a bit shit because I quite like Lockwood. I like Lockwood a lot, actually. He's my favorite villain on the show by far.
I don't know. I'm not as outright against it as you are, because I feel like in a weird way, I'm actually almost impressed that they somehow, like, crazy bastards that are actually trying to tie every villain that we've had this season together in some way, which I don't think I was expecting them to even do. I was expecting, once I realised, okay, Lex and Comrade Zor-El are going to be linked, I was like, okay, all right. But once they did that, I wasn't expecting, like, Lockwood and by extension Manchester Black to.
Yeah, and
to feed into it as well.
I don't like that, like, because it's getting away with it just because it's Lex Luthor, right? If this was anyone else who'd come in and had this impact, that we'd never seen before, we'd be complaining.
We would be.
We would be going, this is utter shite. And I feel like that they're using the name as a crutch just to get away with this, and I don't like that.
It's weird though, because it's like, how did the idea come about? Did it come out like, because I don't believe that they had all this planned and then just get told halfway through the season, oh, by the way, you can use Lex Luthor. It's like, oh, that justifies everything. Like, I feel like they must have, like, had the rough idea that this was all going to be tied together with Lex. Because this is the thing: if you're writing this story from scratch and and in their head they're always going to go to Lex Luthor's behind everything, can I really blame them for that when they know they're going to be using Lex? Because I get what you're saying, you're right. If this was like some new villain that they'd made up, right, and he came in and it was like, okay, everything we're building up all season is going to turn out to be this guy's behind it all, right? Like, because Arrow's kind of pulled that, like last season kind of pulled that, where Diaz kind of became the big villain, like 2/3 into the season. You remember Caden James? Remember, Ben from Lost?
I didn't, but I do now.
Yeah, like he was the villain, and all of a sudden it was Diaz, and it was this quadrant thing, and
it was bullshit.
Yeah, that was bullshit. And this, like, if this was a new villain, it would feel like it was undermining things. But I can't deny that it kind of works because it's Lex Luthor. And don't get me wrong, they can't pull this more than once.
No.
But I don't hate it because it's Lex. But at the same time, you're saying they're getting away with it because they're almost using him to get away with this. But, like, are they only doing it because we're doing Lex Luthor?
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know. That's why I say it frustrates, because I can't put my finger on whether or not it is. I think ultimately I'm still frustrated. I don't like it. I understand why they're doing it because Lex, and that makes me less angry than I would be.
I mean, I guess the feeling probably comes from, did they always plan to tie them together like this? Did they have concrete plans for what they're going to do with Comrade Zor-El and Lex, or did that come later? Like, when they came out at the start of the season, like, okay, we set up Comrade Zor-El, but we don't actually know what we're doing with her yet. So we're going to do all this Lockwood stuff.
Which is a pretty normal, TV writing room thing to have. They'll set something up and go, well, we'll figure it out later.
Yeah. That said, they don't typically do it the way this show would. Let's say that happened, right? Typically, if they have a cliffhanger at the end of the season, that'll be the first thing that they decide to tackle in the writers' room for next season. That's the first thing they'll say.
Usually, yes,
Yeah.
but more so, what I meant is when they wrote that cliffhanger last year.
Yeah, they didn't know what they were doing with next year.
They didn't know what they were going to do this season. They were like, we'll figure that out later.
That's it. I feel like if it is just like the final like cliffhanger like that, I feel like they would have a vague idea of why they're introducing it, because
more so than other things.
Yeah, because you're literally just introducing it for the sake of teasing next year. So presumably you would, but so let's say that they did that and they didn't know what they were doing, and then it wasn't until like they're writing this season, they're told they can use Lex. So we'll tie that into Comrade Zero, and then they thought, we'll tie everything together and make everything feel like it's connected by the end of the season. Again, another character that would bug me, and if that was a sequence of events, I'd critique it, but there's no way of really knowing just from the show itself.
There's not. So ultimately, what all we have to go on is what we see in the episode, right?
I guess what would fix all this, if there was just a hint earlier in the season that someone had like set Otis on this path, and
the
problem is though, we're talking about Otis, and they hint someone's to give him an order. Like, who are we going to jump to?
No, you are.
Yeah,
but I think. Okay, ignoring all the behind the scenes possibilities and go just by, okay, when you're watching it, when it got towards the end of the episode and he was behind, Lockwood as well, I went, ugh. That was my reaction when I watched it. Because, my gut reaction was really this as well. And I think that says it all for me. And then I'm justifying it to myself. We're going, but it's Lex Luthor. And I'm writing them out of it. I'm giving them an excuse, and that's not right. I shouldn't be doing that just because it's Lex Luthor.
I know, but you say you're giving them an excuse, but if that was like, if it was planned from the start that they were going, no, this is Lex Luthor. He plays these. It's that scene in this episode where he's walking through the prison and he's winning all the chess games. That's what this is. He's set everything up.
But I don't care if that was the plan from the beginning. The fact is that we had no sense that there was anything behind this at any point. It was, no, Lockwood's doing his thing.
I mean, I suppose to play devil's advocate, though, like, they didn't like create or set Lockwood on his path. They just came in and kind of accelerated him, or boosted him, shall you say. They gave him the outfit. That's really the biggest contribution.
Yeah.
Because he was already giving speeches before then.
He was, but he wasn't getting any sort of attention.
No, he was already giving out leaflets and things like that, but I don't know. I kind of like it because it's Lex Luthor.
I get that. I think I'm still annoyed by it.
But I wouldn't be super. I liked the general kind of plot of Comrade Zero. Although I like that this episode didn't even play about with the idea that is she still like. The good person's still in there. No, she is. It's actually quite clear she is a good person. She saves the kid, Mikhail, and Lex has to manipulate that. He kind of essentially has to break her down into becoming his weapon. And I appreciated that story because it was more interesting than just she's gullible and accepts everything he says immediately. It was like no, she is actually. She's convinced by a few factors, and obviously some of it's manipulated because it's Lex is making sure American bombs are hitting the kid's house and things like that. If it had
been just the gullible thing, they'd have got away with it because she's a blank slate.
Yeah.
For all intents, but there's little hints here. They're basically a blank slate. You can kind of go right. We're teaching from scratch. It's not even gullibility. There's just no reason to doubt.
Yeah, but it makes it very clear that she's a good person, and she meets some of the friends. There's a scene where she meets Alex. Before Alex had her memory altered. That kind of thing when she's in the house. I did kind of love Lex using the fact that the one word she remembers is Alex.
Yeah. So
he says his name is Lex, and she's like Alex, and he's like, yeah,
sure, why not?
Sure, Alex. And then later on, she doesn't even clock that it's a lie. When she finds out there's an Alex in Supergirl's life, she's like, he almost presents it of like, yeah, she has an Alex too. It's this duality. There's this mirror image thing almost going on.
Yeah. Is it a little bit weird that Lex just knows who Kara is?
Yeah, I was thinking that as well. He just knows, and by extension, does he know who Superman is? Did he figure that out before he went to prison?
Yeah, I don't know. That seems kind of weird. Just whatever. I'm Lex Luthor. I know anything.
Actually, Jack, you know what my biggest complaint of the episode is? It's not anything you brought up, even though I understand why you're bugged by it. It's actually
this is gonna be one of my petty, stupid complaints.
No, it's not that petty. I just thought it was weird. The scene where he kills everyone in the court, except conveniently Jimmy and Lena.
Yeah, that was weird. The people who were actually testifying against him.
Yeah, they don't get killed. Everyone else, though, is all dead. And he knew about Jimmy's watch, so he does seem to know a whole lot about Superman and his surroundings, at the very least. So maybe he does know who he is. But yeah, I was kind of laughing actually. Some of the stuff that they were doing with Comrade Zor-El it reminded me of like Comrade Detective and stuff like that, where she comes into like Kara's apartment. It's like, she lives like this, and he's like, yes, on a reporter's salary. She's like, she has all this luxury.
Yeah, what decadence.
These capitalist scum living like this. I don't know, just give me a laugh.
Yeah.
But no, I like that aspect of it. I like the story of the episode, and you know, the idea that Lex has got enough power over the warden that he was like, I'm leaving for 72 hours. Deal with it. It's like, yeah, that feels very Lex, and he gets away with it. Hell, even having Lex in the wig for that 1 or 2 scenes, you know, when he takes it off, I was thinking Gene Hackman in the the movie at the end, where he's like, yeah. He used to call himself the criminal mastermind of our age before he's done. I need that.
It's coming.
It's coming.
They're leaning into those movies so much they can't not.
Well, yeah, the finale's called The Quest for Peace.
That's a bold choice.
It's bold. I mean, it fits in the themes of the season because it's been all this, political.
I'm with you, but it's not exactly well regarded. to put it softly.
It's better than Batman v Superman.
I agree with that.
You don't see them referencing that movie, do you? Or Man of Steel. You don't see them referencing those things, and yet it's referenced Superman 3 and Superman 4.
I know which ones I'd rather watch.
As do I. Hell, I mean, I kind of like Superman 3. It's not a good Superman movie, but I grew up with it. I've got a lot of nostalgia for it, and I will stand by this. It has the best single scene in any Superman movie.
Defend.
So it's essentially a Red Kryptonite story, right? The scene in the junkyard where evil Superman and Clark have kind of split up and they fight each other, and at the end, like, Clark has won and evil Superman fades away. It's all kind of it's in his head essentially. But he ends and he stands up and he rips open the shirt and the music plays. That scene is maybe the best scene in any Superman movie. Rest of the movie, sure. I mean, I like Richard Pryor, so I enjoy those scenes, but it's not. It shouldn't be a Superman movie.
Yeah.
And then the bad guy is like a Lex Luthor knockoff, because why do a Superman villain when you could do a Lex Luthor knockoff?
Hey, it's worked for TV for years.
And remember Maxwell Lord in season 1 of Supergirl?
Yep.
You'd be forgiven if you didn't.
Yeah. I mean, hell, they played Morgan Edge that way for the half a season we had him.
That's true. I miss him.
Obviously businessman Lex versus scientist, but
I miss Morgan Edge. Morgan Edge should come back.
Yeah, he should.
He should come back. Do you know what's funny? Even with your concerns about them kind of like awkwardly tying everything together, and is that okay? Even if I like fundamentally agree that it's not that great that they've done that, this is still the best overall season plot the show's ever had.
I don't disagree with that.
Season 1 has more standout episodes, but I think this is, at this point, we're far enough out of the season, and I expect I'm still going to quite enjoy the remainder of this plot, that I'm pretty convinced to say that the overall plot's the best the show's had. Bumps and all.
Barring, 3 episodes at the end nosediving. Sure, I'll agree with that.
Even at this point, even nosediving. Like, you really think even if it nosedives, it's going to be worse than the end of Reign, or worse than Non?
Not necessarily worse, but it could be bad enough to throw away all my goodwill that puts it up there. It could be just like, well, it's just another shit season.
Sure.
In plot, not necessarily the whole season.
Yeah, no. There's been a lot of good this season.
It has.
It's better than season 3 for sure. I don't think it's even a debate.
Question.
Yeah.
No.
So positives where they can be found. So it's obviously it's one of these episodes where you don't necessarily get all the main cast. You get a little bit of some of them at the end, maybe. And there's all little details. I like that Lex, Tessmacher's like, oh, call me Eve, and he's just like, Miss Tessmacher. He just keeps going with that. Like,
Any excuse, right?
Yeah, just keep doing that. It's fine.
Yeah.
So he does that. Of course, he's got a hologram because at one point he beams into Lena's like office. I'm like, where was this scene when it happened? Just because you didn't catch John Cryer yet, you bastards. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still just structurally this episode feels a bit clunky.
Yeah, the structure feels weird because it went back and then went back further and then kind of like it's almost like it started getting into flashbacks, went along a little bit in the flashbacks, and then went further back on another person, and then sort of built up to meeting up with the other flashbacks, and then it went forward from there.
Yeah, and then like you say, we have things where we probably should have just seen these at the time, but we're gonna throw them in awkwardly here because we have to.
Yeah. Now that they've cast John Cryer though as Lex, and assuming he's not dead by the end of the season, which I don't think he'll be, he's the sort of actor that'll pop back up.
Oh yeah,
they can get him back.
He's been around for a crisis.
Oh yeah, we got him and Michael Rosenbaum going head to head in Crisis.
You know you'd be down for that.
Yeah, Gene Hackman, get him out of retirement. He's been retired since like the mid-2000s, but
yeah, you never know.
Go back, go on, do it.
It's worth an ask.
Do it. Don't ask Jesse Eisenberg though.
No,
leave it.
We're good.
Yeah, leave it.
Unless the only way you say is you asking is the plan is just to shoot him immediately.
Oh, that's the Godzilla Final Wars method, where you get because in Godzilla Final Wars, Godzilla from the '98 American movie shows up and gets
just destroyed.
Yeah, he gets bitch slapped by the real Godzilla in like 10 seconds.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah, we can do that. That's okay. I'll get what's his face from Lewis and Clark. I can't remember the actor's name.
Oh yeah, okay.
I'll take him too. Go on.
Yeah.
Give us all Lexi's on Infinite Earths or Crisis on Infinite Luthers. I don't know. Call it what you want. No. But I enjoyed the episode. I actually completely understand your complaints with them tying it together and kind of just getting away with it because it's Lex Luthor.
Yeah. So you're agreeing it's not just me being petty this time, because even I felt like, am I just being petty?
Like I agree to a point, but I do kind of like it because it's Lex. They get away with this just now. They get away with this one time at least.
I get it.
Because it does make sense. It's Lexi's character. It's what he does.
Do you know what I think frustrates me most about it?
Mm-hmm.
Is that if this had happened in any other season, I'd be like, all right, well, Lex is better than all these.
Sure.
But Lockwood's actually been pretty damn good.
Yeah. And
this is Dark Knight Rises. It's like, I like Bane. What are you playing at?
Just funny though is that like this season is literally given as like 4 villains who are all better than all the main villains from the previous seasons. Because Lockwood, barring a couple of hiccups, been pretty good. Manchester Black, barring a couple of hiccups, mainly his ending, if that was his ending, pretty good. Conrad Zerel, it's only really been one episode, but she was good and enjoyable, and surprise, Ben Oyster did a good job. And then Luthor's have also been pretty fun.
Yeah.
So
But I'm putting it on record. Lockwood is the CW's Bane.
He should have been doing the Bane voice all season if that's the case. Then it would have only improved his character.
We could pull that off. He's a good voice actor.
I'm here to take this earth back and give it to you, the people. See, his speeches even lend themselves to Bane's voice.
Basically, what you want is you want to take any Trump speech, put it in a Bane voice, and have Lockwood read it. That's what you want.
People would respect Trump if he was Bane. Because he wouldn't be Trump, he'd be Bane.
Yeah. It tends to help.
Oh, I wonder what sort of bet he'd have to lose to walk out and, next time he's doing a bit of press, come out wearing a Bane mask. What do you need to have on him to make him do that?
Should we ask Putin?
Which neatly tied us back in because we got a Russian Supergirl now.
Yeah. Full circle.
It's all full circle. All right. No, I like this episode of Supergirl, but I can't. Barring somehow Lena and Jimmy not dying in the courthouse. Just what were they the only ones who didn't drink the water that was being passed around? Like
because reasons.
I mean, maybe Lena makes sense because he wouldn't want to kill her because his sister. But there's no why would he not want to kill Jimmy? Like it makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I don't buy it. So yeah, at the end of the episode, Supergirl comes into the hospital and is like, "Hey, Lex has escaped. He got powers," and then we see Comrades in her outfit, floating above the city. She's ready to go, with a stupid collar on her outfit. May I add?
I bet that annoyed you more than anything else in this episode.
I don't like collars on these suits. They bug me.
You really hate them.
They bug me. Although at least in this universe, or in the TV shows, they seem to give them to the evil versions, because evil Superman in Elseworlds had the collar, but regular Superman doesn't.
Yeah. I think it's a meta subtext that these collars are pretty shit, so let's give them to the shit versions.
Yeah. I'm liking the messaging. Yeah. I'm liking the messaging they're giving me. I'm down with that. It's got the hammer and the sickle on the symbol. Go on, let's do this. Let's do this. So Russian Supergirl, of course, is going to become good and redeem herself at the end of the season, right as she dies, right? I mean, that's going to be the thing. She's going to sacrifice herself.
I assume so, because obviously this is so loosely based on Red Sun that I don't think you can take any of that into account. It's a shame, because I actually really like that.
Like I say, I think it's just as much Lex with Supergirl post Crisis, the one he made, as it is Red Sun. This is those two things loosely thrown together and very loosely adapted, I mean very loosely.
It's very loose, but just enough that it's recognizable.
Yeah, just a sprinkle of each.
Yeah, but I mean you're probably right.
All right, that's Supergirl. So we'll move on to Arrow. Oh boy.
The infamous Arrow episode.
Oh, this episode of Arrow. I feel like we're going to gloss over like 90% of this episode and just spend half an hour talking about the last 5 minutes.
This cost me money. It broke my keyboard.
It broke Connor's keyboard. Connor spilt booze all over his keyboard. And not even at the bad part of the episode, just right at the start.
Yeah, I just knocked a drink over. I mean, it happened. I mean, I don't typically spill drinks that often. How often do I drunk record with you, and how often have I spilled a drink?
This was notable that it was in the first 10 seconds.
It was. I just sat down. I'd moved my desk slightly, so I was just a little bit off from where I usually am, and I misjudged my hand. It went. What really annoyed me though is, I cleaned it all up. Thought the keyboard was fine. It was working. And it wasn't until the next day where I realized, no, it's screwed. And I had to emergency order one for that day. I couldn't do anything. Bloody Arrow.
Yeah, so let's cut to the chase then. The ending of this episode might be the angriest... Well, I wasn't angry in the same way, but it might be just as equally as bad, and it's the worst scene of the show since the scene in season 4 where Felicity got out of her wheelchair and walked out in high heels like she hadn't been, because I mean the big rant I went on at the time is that if you're sitting down on a plane for 10 hours, you have trouble walking properly when you get up because you've not been your legs have been still the whole time, you've not been using them, right? And she's been in a wheelchair for months. She should be barely being able to stay on her feet when she first gets up.
Yes, muscles atrophy.
Yes. Amongst all the reasons why that was stupid, but that was I went on a rant. This is a whole different genre of stupid though. This is a whole different genre of incompetence in the writing room.
Yeah, this is just for content. Before we can get to what it actually is,
so
obviously I have a drinking game with Arrow.
Yes.
Many things. I'd finished my drink not very long before, and I knew the end was coming because and I thought, I don't need to refill it. The chances of getting something now are relatively slim. So I thought I won't bother refilling a whole glass. And then this happened, and I just picked up the bottle and started necking it.
They dropped a bombshell in it. So the bulk of this episode is that Laurel tells Oliver about Emmy killing Diaz. and he's doubtful, but he's at least kind of considers it and follows her. Sees she's with Dante, who I was informed this week was played by Adrian Paul, who was the Highlander, not in the movie, but in the TV show Highlander.
No, don't want to watch that. Who cares?
You would be surprised. I had several people on stream this week telling me how good the Highlander TV show was and how much better than the movies it was. There were people championing it.
Better than all the movies?
Yeah, they were saying it was better than the first one.
Okay, that's a bold. If you tell me, oh, it's better than the sequels, fine, sure,
Yeah,
I'll believe you.
Highlander sequels are notoriously terrible, yeah.
Yeah, I'll believe you. But better than the first one? Bold claim.
Although much like Christopher Lambert, no Scottish accent, even though he's supposed to be Scottish.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just true to continuity.
Every time a Highlander comes up, I have to tell everyone this little tidbit, but the only person, of course, in that movie that has a Scottish accent is Sean Connery, who shows up. And you're thinking, finally, a Scottish actor played a Scotsman. No, the first words out of his mouth is, "My name is Ramirez, and I'm a Spaniard." And then it turns out he's an Egyptian pretending to be a Spaniard, I think.
Never gets old, does it?
No, it doesn't. The first words out of his mouth, and his thick Sean Connery voice, "I'm a Spaniard."
Pretty distinct, let's be honest.
It's even distinct among Scottish people. I don't think Scottish people sound like Sean Connery typically.
No, they don't.
We're probably better at doing the impression because it's like it's another step.
That's already.
Yeah, but there's the classic joke. Someone said to Sean Connery, "I'll see you tomorrow at tennis," and he says, "Tennis? I don't even have a racket."
Do not bring this show down to that level. We're not here to do Sean Connery jokes.
Anyway, so that's the bulk of the episode, and it's him not trusting her, and then it's like she's probably still evil. She's probably, because at one point they have this thing where they go after, like she's still working with Dante. They go after him. He thinks he's betrayed her and punches her, and then runs off, and they're all kind of left standing there, and he's like gotten away. And we immediately said that scene felt really simple and easy and had no momentum. That has to have been like a show. That has to have been a setup to make it look like, she'd fallen out with him essentially, so that she'd be trusted by the team. And sure enough, the episode progresses and she's planted a tracker, or not a tracker, a cloaking device. It's to mess with her tech, and a jammer it was. And then I was conflicted at that point in the episode because I was like, on the one hand, it's like, I was frustrated that we're churning through this so quick, as it just made it feel really cliched. But at the same time, I was kind of almost
over and done with.
Yeah, I was almost relieved that they were doing it this quickly, even though it felt like they weren't doing like enough to actually do the plot justice. And it was whatever. And so it's going back and forth. Can Emmy be trusted? Is she really loyal to Diaz because Dante, because she's been with him since she was 11 years old? Blah 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 blah. And we get these flashbacks throughout the episode of her being upset that Robert Queen's leaving. We see Robert Queen, pre-season 1 Arrow, abandoning the family, and then seeing her just before he goes in the boat. And I know you want to mention here.
Awkwardly naming, going, "Hey, I'm going on the Queen's Gambit."
Yeah, he doesn't just say, "I'm going out of the country for a while," or at a stretch, "I'm going out of the country, it's going to take a while though because I'm going by boat." He actually says, "I'm going out of the country, I'm taking the Queen's Gambit." He really emphasizes it.
He doesn't even something like, he goes, "Oh, I'm going to China, I'll be out on the Queen's Gambit." Like she knows what that is.
Turns out to be a relevant plot point that she needs to know about, which is why he said it that way. So it's like, so is she evil, is she not? Can she be trusted, can she not? And at this point, I mean, Emiko in this has none of the personality that the comics version has, so she's already been like a complete disappointment in that sense since she showed up. But at the very least, when Emiko first showed up, now I didn't read her first appearances, I don't think, in the New 52.
The Lamina stuff.
Oh no, I did read that then. Yeah.
Yeah, that was her first stuff with Komodo.
I don't remember it very well, but yeah. But there was kind of a like, is she on the good? Can she be an ally? Kind of thing.
Essentially, her father was the equivalent of Merlin, right? And so it was okay. Can she be trusted?
So that playing with that is not against the character's core. That's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Towards the end, this is not even the final scene yet. Towards the end of the episode, there's a scene with her and Dante that gives us a plot twist. That she's actually the head of the Ninth Circle and that Dante works for her.
Yeah, she somehow leapfrogged the bastard.
And I was like, wait, what? Are they just casually telling us that she's in charge? And it felt like such a nothing scene, but it dropped this bombshell on us, and I was like, well, I'm sorry for Emiko fans because she's just an outright evil villain in this.
Because at one point I was talking, I don't know if I said this on the episode last year, if I was just talking to you, that I was wondering if they would play with the idea of Queen legacy in the Ninth Circle, because in the comics it was essentially it was founded by, you know, Oliver's ancestor.
You said that we were watching this one, I think.
Or was it? Okay. You know, it was founded by his ancestor. His parents were involved to some capacity.
Yeah.
And I was like, are they going to play with that? And then we thought, probably not.
And I wouldn't count this as playing with it. They're just doing something completely. I mean, it happens to be someone who's related to him, but I mean, I wouldn't really count that in the same vein. So out of nowhere, she's this evil mastermind, and it's like, okay, so they've completely ruined Emmy, what she is from the comics, because she's like, not only is her personality nothing like the comics, she is evil enough to, because, you know, earlier on they're testing like these gas like drones that can assassinate people, and you know, she's behind all this. She's the one who's behind selling these things.
Like in the comics, she's a little murdery at first. She's actually very similar to Damian Wayne in that, okay, you know, a bit of a poor upbringing, but yeah, a little bit of teach her the right way.
But of course, one of the things that makes that work is that she's still like 13, 14. She's still quite young and impressionable, and she's taught to, you know, be better and give her morals.
Know any better.
Yeah,
right.
So that's, sorry, they've ruined Emmy's character. Fine. I mean, that's not even new for Arrow, like not adapting characters properly. They're Dinah, and by Dinah I mean Laurel. You know, they're the main Black Canary. They completely didn't even capture her at all from the comics. Yeah. So, you know, this is not new for them to completely get this wrong. And then the final scene, so the final scene's a flashback to the news is on TV that the Queen's Gambits went missing. And they don't know if there's any survivors, they don't know if Oliver's alive, if Robert's alive. And it's her watching the TV, and she turns around, and I didn't know where it was going with this, and she picks up the plans for the boat, the Queen's Gambit. It says the Queen's Gambit, and the music swells up, and then she burns them, and I'm like, this is
it has bomb locations on it as well.
Oh, does it? I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. You were too busy howling with laughter / anger.
Yes, I was too busy howling with laughter at how ridiculous. Because obviously I got what they were implying, so I was too busy howling with laughter.
No, they were more blatant than that. It had, like, you know, okay, 2 little dots of this is where the bombs were.
Yeah, you want to burn that. That's evidence.
Yeah.
X marks the bomb. Yeah, it's very good. Good Emmy. Good Emmy. Cool. Yeah. Good idea. And she burns it, and I'm like, so they're telling me that this whole time Emiko, do you know what makes this especially silly? It's not even bad enough that they're retconning the very start of the whole show, and the reason why he's the Green Arrow, the reason why he was on the island, the reason why he met Deathstroke, the reason why everything's happened this entire show is Emiko's fault, and she's behind all of it. Not only are they doing that, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was no implication ever that there was anything wrong with the ship. It was always just there was a storm. Right?
No, I don't know, actually, because there was a thing with Moira, right?
Was there?
Yeah, because she had part of the ship in a storage unit in, like, season 2, and Walter kept it hidden with her or something. She kept it hidden from Walter, and there was some sabotage. They definitely played with it at some point. Okay. But I'm fairly sure it was resolved a long time ago.
Okay. Fair enough. If they set that up in season 2 or whatever, fair enough. This scene's still bullshit though.
Yeah, I don't remember it well enough to really argue the specifics of what happened. I just remember there being something maybe shady happened.
This scene's still bullshit because, like everything I just said, they are retconning what set up the entire show, and
it's beyond bullshit.
I hate retconning things like this into the past, unless it was clearly planned the whole time. But no one's going to convince me that when they were writing season 1 of Arrow, they were like,
Emmy didn't even exist yet.
Exactly. Exactly.
That literally didn't exist.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. 2012, she didn't exist yet. But, like, you know, like, let's say it wasn't even Emmy, right? Let's just say they had a vague idea, someone's behind all this. We're going to have a big mastermind, right? Eventually. No, they didn't. This was something they thought of this season.
Yeah. This is my complaints about Supergirl turned up to 1 million.
This would be like if on Supergirl it turned out Lex blew up Krypton.
Kind of, yeah.
Oh, kind of. That's accurate.
Yeah,
That's
no,
what
it
it
is. I'm only laughing because of something tangentially related to that I won't spoil, but it's funny.
All right. Well, now you've
This
grained.
was ridiculous. I'm beyond. I've got no words for how bad this was.
It's not even like this season of Arrow's not. I mean, obviously there was that one great episode, so get credit where credit's due. But it's not even like this season of Arrow's been one of the worst. Like season 4 is still at the pinnacle of shit Arrow, and then 6 was really bad. This was probably a little bit better than 6 for the most part,
until now.
And then this happens, and this might be maybe the single worst plot point they've ever had.
It might be, yeah. And that's to say nothing about Felicity's DNA tracker.
Yes.
The whole Archer system bullshit that
she's building with
dystopia.
With the Hive girl, whose name I've forgotten. Elena.
I never learned. She was always stupid Hive bitch the whole time. I don't know her name. And she just showed back up because Felicity tracked her DNA, because that's not creepy.
Yes. This is basically Tony Stark making Ultron. That's essentially what it is. Except that it does actually make a dystopia.
Any of the charisma.
Without the charisma, but also actually making a dystopia out of it.
Yes, failing to stop it before it gets too late.
Oh my god, I can't believe what they're doing with this. I really can't. I did laugh because I did say, maybe on one of the episodes of this, actually, last week or the week before, that Emiko might be the season villain now. But when I said that, my thought was it'll be a redemption thing where they'll talk her down at the end, and she'll maybe have a redemption thing next season. You know, like she'll be an evil up until the final episode.
So she's Black Siren again.
They never did that with Black Siren, not really.
No, but they accidentally stumbled into that.
Sure, but no, I was thinking more like season 6 of the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer, right? You made me say it because you put me into a corner where I had to reference what I meant. And I thought, no, next season they'll redeem her and she'll become like the real Emiko next season, essentially. There ain't no doing that now. She can't be redeemed.
Nah, she's dying.
She is like maybe the most evil person in the whole show with these implications.
So coming up, I think next episode we have the Birds of Prey episode.
Which is a couple of weeks away, right, though. We're taking a couple of weeks off.
Yeah. And I think the one after that is based on the name, is a Diggle episode.
Yeah, it's called Spartan, yeah.
So we're screwed.
Which I actually laughed. Diggle was pointing out how they're repeating plot lines, because Diggle has this joke where he's like, oh, however, yeah, it's not like I don't know what it's like to have a sibling show up and be secretly evil, or something like that, he said.
Yeah, it's like, don't remind us, writers. Don't point out. Me and you, we had perfectly happily forgotten that existed.
Yeah, and as soon as he said that, I remember that the back half of season 4 was him whining that he killed his brother.
Yeah.
I killed my brother!
Don't bring attention to it.
Oh, this show.
So, like, that's the thing. This episode was so bad even before the stupid reveal at the end. When we were pointing out that, okay, this had no momentum, it's clearly just a ploy, right? And the weird, clunky throwing out the name of the Queen's Gambit. These aren't things we're going in retrospect were weird.
Yeah, and to go back with the lack of momentum, that actually extends to the direction itself, because the fight scene, both that and then a fight scene that came later, were lacking any kind of movement. They felt really stilted and slow compared to what the fights. And this is not a complaint I usually have about the fight scenes in Arrow. They just felt really slow.
Yeah, I think the second one was a little bit better. It was doing something with the camera, this like low angle swoop thing that it doesn't usually do. But it was still awkwardly paced, that's for sure. Like you say, usually the fight scenes in Arrow, they're serviceable at worst.
Yeah,
if not downright good at times.
They can't. It depends on the director, I think.
Yeah, it does, but typically it's one of the stronger points of the show.
Yeah, I can't believe they did this. I'm in awe.
This was terrible.
I'm in awe. Emiko's behind it all. She's behind the Queen's Gambit. She's behind Oliver going to that island. Behind him meeting Deathstroke. Becoming a vigilante. All of it.
Yeah, indirectly, of course, but it's all her fault.
Yeah, indirectly, but it's all her fault. It all comes from her. She's responsible for him existing. This is Tim Burton saying the Joker killed Batman's parents.
At least that was always the plan in that movie.
Still terrible, though.
I'm not saying it was a good thing. I'm saying at least that was going in. Burton's like, I'm doing this. This is... Oh, do you know what would be juicy?
Emiko has to show up now and say, do you know what happened? Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight? She has to say that now.
I'm not going to lie. I think I'd give them points if they did.
Yeah, because they'd be acknowledging that they're making the same mistakes.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I hated this episode. I hated it with a passion. Which I've not felt in a while. Like, I feel like Arrow's been just in this kind of mediocre level for a long time, barring...
mundane. Yeah.
But barring one or two dips and barring that one great episode, obviously in the other direction, but this was terribad.
It reignited that passion. Just they couldn't let us be too happy about the fact that it was ending.
No. We have to go through all this crap first.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I don't know what else to say. No future stuff this week. We'll get back to that.
Small mercy.
I don't know. I might have preferred it over this, to be honest. So that's Arrow, which does leave us to just pick our favourite of the week. And if I can wrangle this cat, I will tell you why it's Doom Patrol.
Yeah, even on its worst episode, it's still the best show this week.
I like Supergirl more than you did, though. So I actually think I had 2 out of 3 pretty solid.
I didn't hate Supergirl. I like it in concept. It just frustrated me, But I'm not gonna get into it again. But I don't hate it. Especially not after Arrow.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No. Well, the cat's demanding attention, so.
That means we're done here.
It means we're done here. So yes, let us know what you thought of this week's DC shows in the comments. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the show and the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv, and you can support us over there for as little as $1 per month, and so on and so on. Check out Comics from the Multiverse, which is our comic book equivalent of this show, where we talk about DC Comics with both of ourselves and Matt. And then that's everything. Did that go okay? I was really struggling to remember what I was saying there as I was trying to make sure the cat didn't do anything.
Yeah, that part. I'll be honest, I wasn't paying attention to you. I don't know what you did or didn't do.
That's fine. We'll just go with that. But yeah, so that's been Television for the Multiverse. Next week, we do not have.
There's no Arrow. There's no Flash.
We have Legends and we have Doom Patrol. Right?
And Supergirl.
And Supergirl.
I think.
So yeah, another weird week, but we'll probably fit in a Batman animated series next week, unless we're struggling with schedules. But yeah, so look forward to that. But that is it. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching superhero TV shows, guys. And always remember that sometimes we screw things up for the better.